Have you ever found a diamond? You know, prospectors, it's not that unusual for a gold prospector to find diamonds. In the old days of the California gold rush in Northern California, they were processing huge amounts of gravel, and they found hundreds and hundreds of diamonds in their process. And the truth is, the sluices that they used were very inefficient. They lost a lot of gold too, but they probably lost 80 or 90% of the diamonds that went into their sluice boxes, and they still found hundreds. I know a guy who found a couple of little yellow diamonds in California while he was prospecting. I also know of prospectors that found diamonds in Colorado. They were dredging and found some diamonds, and prospectors that found diamonds in Wyoming. Let me show you a picture of some of the California diamonds, of the Colorado diamonds, and of course the Wyoming diamonds, and then we'll come back.
Here's a grouping of diamonds from Colorado, and these were found by gold prospectors that were dredging in streams and came up with diamonds. And it made geologists go look and try and find the source, which they did. And at one time, there was an active diamond mine in Colorado. Here's a grouping of diamonds from Wyoming. And again, the deposits in Wyoming were also originally found by prospectors who found diamonds with their gold. This is an old photograph of diamonds from California, and the two locations mentioned here, Amador County and Butte County, were the locations of the bulk of the California diamonds where they were found.
Another location that prospectors find diamonds from time to time is the Midwest. The Midwest, the placer gold there, it's made up of material that's been brought down by major sized glaciers that have brought material down from Canada and then brought it into the Midwest states, where it's been reworked by streams and that kind of stuff, reconcentrating the heavy minerals in it. And of course, prospectors find gold in some of these places, but there's diamonds in it too. And a friend of mine found a couple of little tiny diamonds in the Midwest by doing gold prospecting. So gold prospectors do find diamonds from time to time. Not everywhere that gold is found are there diamonds, but in some places, yes, absolutely. And so it's worthwhile to be aware of it.
Now here's a map of the United States where I've colored the states where there's confirmed diamond finds that they've been recognized with yellow. And of course you can see California, and you can see Colorado and Wyoming. The two mines there, the two deposit areas, are both close to the state line. They're in the same general area, and also the Murfreesboro diamond mine in Arkansas. But you can see also that there's a lot of diamonds that have been found in the upper Midwest and even through the Appalachian regions. And it notes on the bottom, although I don't have it shown, that Alaska has also had diamonds found in it. So, there's a definite thing where diamonds are really more widespread than most people think. And so you should keep your eyes open and be aware of what they look like.
Now, there are many colorless minerals that people mistake for diamonds. Not every colorless mineral is a diamond. In fact, there are hundreds of minerals that can come in colorless that, people might mistake for a diamond. They don't look anything like a diamond to the trained eye, but, it can fool people. In fact, a few years back, there was a big stir in a local newspaper, actually more toward the Sacramento area, and they had that a lady prospector had been looking for gold and then finding some gold, and she found a diamond, which is kind of what I've been talking about, but they showed a picture of it, and it's not a diamond. Let me show you that picture.
This is the little crystal that the lady thought was a diamond. And, it's clear, and I can tell you, hard enough to scratch window glass, but it's nothing like a diamond. It's a piece of quartz. It's a little quartz crystal. And of course, quartz is a super common mineral, and quartz veins and little quartz crystals are all through the gold country in California. But it was published in all the newspapers, and as soon as I saw this picture, I knew it wasn't diamond. It was just a quartz crystal.
Another story that I have is I used to work for the county of Washoe, which is the Reno area city, or that's the county that Reno is in. And I used to work for the county, and at one point, a guy who was a local jeweler and knew me sent me this other guy. He said, he said, go talk to Chris Ralph, right? He had this big honking quartz crystal. It was big. It was bigger around than an egg. It was maybe the big around as a small orange and several inches long. And it was pretty clear too. It was a nice quartz crystal. But the guy was utterly, totally, and completely convinced that it was a diamond. And my guess, although I didn't get this out of him, my guess is that somebody sold it to him probably for a few $1,000s and said, hey, this is a diamond. And so the guy brought it to me and he said, well, I want you to confirm for me that this is a raw diamond, a rough diamond. And I looked at it and I said, I'm sorry, that's a quartz crystal. And it's, there's no doubt about it. Quartz crystals have a very characteristic shape to them. And if you look down on the point, they're six-sided, which means they belong to the hexagonal crystal pattern. And diamonds don't belong to that, and they don't have six sides. So I told him it's a nice quartz crystal, but it really is a quartz crystal. And the guy was really angry. I mean, really angry. I think partly at me because I was telling him stuff he didn't want to hear, but partly at himself for probably paying a lot of money for a diamond that wasn't. But there are a lot of things that are called diamonds that are quartz, like the Herkimer diamonds, and there's several places. There's a Payson diamond, a place in Arizona that produces doubly terminated crystals, like the Herkimer diamonds in New York. Basically, a quartz crystal will have a point, but if it's doubly terminated, it'll have a point on both ends. So you have a piece with a point going to a point on both ends. But it's still, if you hold it looking down on the point, you'll see it has six sides going around it. Calcite is another one that sometimes people mistake. And then there's, of course, the issue of black diamonds. Now, interestingly enough, magnetite, which is one of the things that are used as black diamond, magnetite and hematite, which are both iron oxide minerals, magnetite has the same crystal pattern as a true diamond, the diamond shape. So you don't often see magnetite in that shape, but when it crystallizes properly, it has the same shape. But of course, it has not the hardness. And so black diamonds, they're called that sometimes in jewelry stores, but they are not diamonds. They're iron oxides. Technically, they're iron ore, and diamond is not an iron ore. So let me take a look and show you some different diamonds that are out there. I'm going to show you both some of these things that are called diamond, like the Herkimer diamond, and some real diamonds, and we'll kind of get familiar with that. And then we'll dig into testing methods. I get people telling me, my diamond scratch glass. Well, glass is only about 5.5 or 6 in hardness. Quartz is 7, and quartz is super common. And that's another thing. People take a piece of quartz, it scratches glass, it must be a diamond. Well, anything of 7, 8, 9, or 10 hardness, and there's a number of minerals that fall into that category, will easily scratch glass. So scratching glass is not a good way to test for a diamond. But, learning about the crystal shape, they have a specific luster, and then testing with a diamond meter. But let's dig in and take a look at some examples of diamond and not diamond, and then we'll dig into the testing after that.
So let's start off by taking a look at some things that are diamond and some things that are not diamond. We're starting off with these. These are the Herkimer diamonds that I had already mentioned. It's basically a quartz crystal that's terminated on both ends. So it has a pointy end both on the top and the bottom. These are very pretty, but they're not actually diamond. And similar sorts of things are found in a number of places all around the world. And these are rough diamonds. You can see the one that's being held in the forceps is a pretty good sized stone, but these are rough diamonds, and this is what rough diamonds look like. Now, on the other hand, this is a topaz crystal, and it's clear, and it has value, not nearly as much as a diamond, but it is a beautiful specimen that's topaz and not a diamond. Here are some rough diamonds. These actually were mined in the state of Colorado in the USA. They are not the highest quality, but they're actually very nice. Some of them would cut good stones. There's actually one cut stone in the lower right-hand corner. On the other hand, this is a quartz crystal. It's pretty and it's clean and it's transparent, but it's quartz, not a diamond. These are diamonds. They're industrial diamonds. They're not suitable for gem use, but a lot of industrial diamonds get used for grinding and that sort of thing because of the hardness of diamond. On the other hand, this would be a piece of calcite. Now, calcite is, like quartz, a very common mineral, and it comes in various colors, but it does occur in clear and colorless forms, as this photograph shows. Here are some very beautiful, very high quality white diamond crystals, and they show the characteristic shapes and features of a diamond. And this, on the other hand, is the mineral beryl. It's the same mineral that emerald and aquamarine are formed from, but this is a colorless specimen of that mineral. It's a beautiful specimen, but it's definitely not a diamond. Here is an interesting selection of diamond crystals. This is rough diamonds, and it's kind of graded from really high quality on the far left through various middle grades to really low quality on the far right. It gives you a comparison of different grades of diamond. Now this, on the other hand, is a crystal of cerussite, which is a clear lead mineral that is found in some lead type deposits. It actually can be cut into a gemstone, but it's super soft and is not very suitable for gem use because it won't take much abrasion or work or wear. Here are some brown colored diamonds. They can make some very beautiful stones. They're sometimes called chocolate diamonds, but they do have this brown color. Now, on the other hand, here's a rather large quartz crystal that has a very similar brown color. You can see that by color you can't really tell them much apart.
So we've taken a look at some comparisons of different colorless or near colorless minerals and diamonds, so you can get a chance to look at the different crystal shapes and different forms that you might see in a diamond versus something else. But now we're going to take a look at testing, the actual testing part of it, and we're going to get into the testing and see how you would actually test a suspected diamond to see if it really is real.
So let's talk about testing. And the first thing that we're going to take a look at is a hardness test. That's basically where you scratch a mineral. And diamond, of course, is the hardest of all, the hardest natural mineral. And it'll scratch anything in this, but it doesn't really... You need to be able to show that your diamond will scratch the corundum, which corundum is the mineral name for ruby or sapphire gems. And there is number 9 on this thing, corundum. And if your diamond can scratch the corundum, that's a pretty good indicator that your diamond is genuine. Now, you can get little kits like this quite easily through Amazon. They're not all that terribly expensive. This is mine. So that's one of the best things to do. Now, I do also get people asking me about glass. They say, well, my suspected diamond will scratch glass. Yeah, well, glass is not very hard. It's actually quite soft. And when I went through the minerals that I showed you a few minutes ago, all the clear minerals that were not diamond, well, most of those clear minerals that are not diamond will also scratch glass because glass just really isn't that hard. The next thing we're going to look at is the crystal shape of diamond. And this is a drawing of diamond crystals. You can see it has this simple, at least on the left, is the simple set of basically one pyramid that's upside down and one pyramid that's right side up. All the faces are triangular. The one on the right is basically the same crystal shape, but it's bulged out a little bit. It's still the 4 triangular shapes on the top and 4 triangular shapes on the bottom. It's called an octahedron. That's what the name of this crystal shape is. And most diamonds follow this pattern and will appear in something close to this shape. And here is a photograph of some diamond crystals, and you can see that they follow this octahedral shape with the pyramid and the triangular crystal faces, as I had just shown in the drawing. Just for comparison, I have here a drawing of a quartz crystal, and you can see that most of the faces are not triangular. Now there's a few triangular faces. I've colored them pink so you can see them easily, but this is a very different crystal shape than the one I just showed you for diamond. If you were to look at this down from the top, looking on top of one of the points, you would see that it's a 6-sided crystal instead of the 4-sided crystal of a diamond. The next test that you might want to make is just the luster shape of the diamond. Now, diamonds, even when they're dry, have a tendency to look kind of greasy or oily on the surface. Now this is an unusual luster called an adamantine luster, and it has to do with the very bright surfaces of the diamond. And so you can see on these two crystals, they kind of look oily even though they're perfectly dry and clean. Here are some other crystals, and they also look a little bit oily, even though, again, like the ones we just looked at, these crystals are perfectly clean and dry. It's just a natural thing of diamond crystals that they have this tendency to look a little bit oily. Probably the best and most accurate way to test your diamonds is with a thermal testing device. They invented these years ago when they started coming out with really good looking simulants, the stones that look like a diamond and looked like it enough that even they could fool a jeweler, and things like cubic zirconia and that sort of stuff. And so they came up with these. They're based on the fact that diamond has an incredible capacity to conduct heat. It's just a part of the nature of the crystal. And so these little devices, they're quick and easy. You can buy these on Amazon, and basically you touch the tip to the diamond and it will give you an indication, yes, it's a diamond, or no, it isn't. And they're just that quick and easy. Now, you might say to yourself, hey, Chris, I don't want to have to go out and buy one of these. But the truth is, almost every jewelry store has one of these because they're just not that expensive. And if you go into a jewelry store, or somebody who owns a jewelry store, and you go in and you're nice and polite, maybe you could talk one of the guys into testing your stone for you and letting you know whether or not you have a diamond. These things are really accurate, and so if they test your stone and they say, I'm sorry, your stone isn't a diamond, you're going to have to believe them, because I got to say, they're just very, very reliable, and that's why they're used so extensively in the jewelry trade, because, of course, jewelers don't want to be buying cheap cubic zirconia at the price of an actual diamond. So that's why pretty much every jewelry store has these. So I'm going to finish off showing you this really amazing, beautiful diamond that was found, huge diamond that was found here in the last year or year and a half, something like that, at a mine in Africa. And this is the kind of stone that really is worth millions of dollars. There's a tendency among really large diamonds that they don't have the perfectly regular octahedral crystal pattern, although in the inside of the crystal it is an octahedron, there's no question about it. But on the outside it won't display the same kind of perfect faces and that sort of thing.
Now, as I said in the beginning, prospectors find diamonds. It's not that unusual. And if you're in the right kind of place, like Northern California or, Colorado or Wyoming, or one of the places in the Midwest. And of course, there's the diamond mine in Arkansas that's very famous. It's not a gold prospecting spot, but it's a place where people can go and dig for their own diamonds. But anyway, diamonds are spread here and there through a lot of places, and it's worthwhile knowing about them. But, they're found when people are out prospecting for gold for the most part. And finding gold is a skill, and it's about finding the concentrations of heavy minerals, and gold is certainly heavy. Black sand, But diamonds fall into that same category too. They're heavy. Sapphires do too. But I wrote a book called Fistful of Gold that's intended to give you the prospecting skills, the knowledge that it takes to go out and find gold. And if you're in the right place, maybe find a diamond too. But the book will give you the skills, because success at prospecting, it's based on what you know. If you just have a couple of good pieces of equipment and you wander out into some place where gold was mined in the past, where are you going to dig to be successful? Well, my book will tell you that and give you that knowledge that you need to have. I've also partnered with an outfit called High Plains, and they're a mail order equipment dealer that sell all kinds of prospecting equipment, screens and sluice boxes and whatever else, all the way from low-cost metal detectors to high-cost, basically everything in the line of prospecting related stuff, they have it. And so I partnered with them, and I can get a little discount for you. And so I'm going to tell you a little bit more about my book and about High Plains right now. This is my book, Fistful of Gold. It's an encyclopedia of everything you need to know to go out and find gold for yourself. It distills down my 45 years of experience out in the field prospecting, as well as my degree in mine engineering. It's, like I say, an encyclopedia. There's a lot to it. It's over 250,000 words long, hundreds of pages with hundreds of illustrations, teaching you what you need to know about geology, about mining districts, about techniques of finding gold. It covers metal detectors, sluicing, panning, dry washing, high bankers, you name it, it's covered in there. It talks some about platinum and diamonds, but it's mostly about gold, because gold is more widespread. It is not so much a book about where to find gold, but a book about how to find gold. Because even if you have a location where gold was mined in the past and you go out there, well, where should you look to be successful in your prospecting, to find the gold that's there? This is the book that's going to tell you that information. I spent most of 10 years writing this book, so I thought a long time about it. It's got, like I say, lots of information and lots of illustrations, and I've had results from people who bought it. It's available on Amazon, but I recommend buying it through High Plains Prospectors, and I'll put a link in the description for buying this book through them. They have a better price than Amazon, and I have a special deal that I'll tell you a little bit more about, where you can get a 5% discount from the price even with that. On Amazon, the book rates a 4.7 out of 5, which means that of all the people that have bought it, they've been really highly satisfied, and I think you, if you buy my book, will be just as highly satisfied as well. Now let's talk a little bit more about High Plains Prospectors. They're a prospecting shop, a mail order prospecting shop that I've partnered with. The deal is that I can get you a 5% discount, a coupon code, and I'm going to put the code to that right here. It's just Chris Ralph, all caps with no space between Chris and Ralph. You put that in there as a discount code, and you'll get 5% off their already really good prices. I think it's a great deal where you win by getting a discount. I get a little percentage of that, and they get new business. So if you need prospecting supplies, High Plains is really the way to go. And I'll put information, like I say, in the description, more about how you can work with them, because I'm working with them. They really are great guys, a great company. For even more information, I also have a website, and I'm going to show you my webpage and talk a little bit more about that right now.
This is my webpage. It's located at nevadaoutbackgems.com. You can Google it, or I have a link down in the description below. But there's lots of information here, miscellaneous stuff, pictures, some historic information as well, stories. It's got a lot of great fun stuff. You'll probably be interested in it.
Now, on all of my YouTube videos, I encourage you guys to ask questions. If you have thoughts, comments, suggestions for things that I ought to look at in my videos, things that you want to find out more about, and I answer 100% of my questions. There's not very many YouTubers out there that answer 100% of their questions. I'm one of the few. And so I will do my best to answer what you have. I mean, I only can write so much. Sometimes the answer is something where I'm going to recommend that you buy the book and read about it. I also ask that you subscribe to my channel, click the bell notification so that every time I come out with a new video, you'll be able to watch it. And like I say, I cover a huge amount of topics. I also have 250 videos that I've already done. And so you can go back through my catalog of videos on YouTube. I'm sure there'll be many videos there that you'll want to take a look at, especially if you have any interest in gold or platinum, diamonds, gemstones, geology, and that sort of stuff. My YouTube site is going to be right up your alley. So I'll see you again real soon. We'll be out in the field and back in the office at the whiteboard, and whether we're looking at gold or platinum, diamonds, gemstones, or other interesting geology, it's going to be fun. You're going to enjoy it, and we'll see you again real soon.